The sun was shining blindingly bright over the University of California campus that morning in May 2024. I could feel the heavy fabric of my black graduation gown absorbing the heat, but the warmth radiating inside my chest was entirely different. It was pride. It was relief. It was the culmination of 4 exhausting, beautiful years. I looked out into the sea of families gathered in the grand auditorium. Cameras were flashing, flowers were being held tightly, and there, in the 14th row, I saw them, my parents. My father's calloused hands were gripping a small digital camera, and my mother was already wiping tears from her eyes, her own hijab perfectly pinned for this special day. They had sacrificed everything for me to sit in this chair as a 22-year-old computer science graduate. I am Amina. And this day was supposed to be perfect. But perfection is a fragile thing. As we waited for the ceremony to begin, a low murmur rippled through the rows behind me. At first I ignored it, but then the murmur turned into a distinct voice, a voice meant to be heard. "Look at her," a guy from my advanced programming class whispered loudly to his friends, pointing directly at the back of my head. 4 years in California, graduating top of the class, and she's still wrapped up like she's oppressed. You'd think an educated girl would know what freedom looks like. A few chuckles erupted. Then someone else chimed in, probably forced to wear it. It's a shame, really. The laughter grew louder, spreading like a quiet poison through the immediate rows around me. I froze. Out of 500 people in this massive, echoing auditorium, I suddenly felt completely, terrifyingly alone. My cheeks burned with a humiliating heat that had nothing to do with the California sun. My hands began to tremble in my lap. I wanted the floor to open up and swallow me whole. For 4 years, I had battled the late nights, the impossible coding exams, the subtle glances, and the unspoken prejudices. I had earned my place here. Yet, in their eyes, I wasn't Amina the top-tier programmer. I was just a stereotype, a punchline. I closed my eyes and took a deep breath, whispering a silent prayer. Ya Allah, grant me patience. Grant me strength. I refused to look back. I refused to let them see the tears pricking the corners of my eyes. Suddenly, the deafening sound of the microphone tapping echoed through the speakers. The dean of the computer science department stepped up to the podium. The crowd hushed. "Ladies and gentlemen," his voice boomed, "it is my distinct honor to introduce this year's valedictorian, a student whose brilliance is only matched by her character, her resilience, and her unwavering dedication. Please welcome to the stage, Amina Hassan." The applause started, polite and scattered at first. The guys behind me instantly went dead silent. I stood up. My legs felt like lead, but my heart was beating with a rhythm that felt incredibly ancient and powerful. I adjusted my graduation cap, making sure my hijab was draped perfectly beneath it. With every step I took toward that stage, the weight of their mocking words began to shed. By the time I reached the wooden podium and looked out at the 500 faces staring back at me, the fear was entirely gone. I adjusted the microphone. The auditorium was so quiet you could hear a pin drop. "Thank you," I began, my voice steady, echoing across the vast room. "Today is a day of celebration, of looking back at our hard work and looking forward to our futures." I paused, letting my eyes sweep over the crowd until I found the section where my classmates were sitting, the ones who had just laughed. "But before I speak about our future," I continued, "I want to speak about freedom. A few moments ago, as I was sitting among you, I heard a conversation. I heard someone say that it was a shame I was still wrapped up after 4 years of education. I heard someone question if I even knew what freedom looks like." A collective gasp swept through the front rows. The dean shifted uncomfortably behind me. I saw my mother's hands fly to her mouth. "I am not standing here to be angry," I said, my voice softening yet projecting clearly. "I am standing here to educate, because that is what this university has taught us to do. You see, True education doesn't just teach you how to write lines of code or build complex algorithms. It teaches you how to see the world beyond your own narrow lens. I reached up and gently touched the edge of my hijab. You look at this piece of cloth and you see oppression. You see a lack of freedom. But let me tell you what I see. When I put this on every morning, I am making a conscious, educated, and deeply personal choice. I am choosing to be valued for my intellect, my character, and my words, rather than my physical appearance. In a world that constantly tells women they must look a certain way, act a certain way, and expose themselves to be considered beautiful or worthy, I choose to submit to no one but my Creator. The silence in the room deepened. It was a heavy, emotional silence. I could see the faces of the boys who had mocked me. They were pale, staring at the floor. My faith did not hold me back from mastering complex computer science, I continued, leaning closer to the microphone. My faith is the very reason I had the discipline to stay awake at 3 a.m. debugging programs while others were out partying. It is my faith that taught me the pursuit of knowledge is a sacred duty. It is my faith that gave me the resilience to walk into rooms where no one looked like me, smiled at me, or expected me to succeed, and still graduate at the top of this class. I looked directly at my parents. My father was openly weeping now, not even trying to wipe the tears away. Freedom, I said, my voice breaking just a fraction with emotion before finding its strength again. Freedom is not the absence of boundaries. Freedom is choosing which boundaries elevate your soul. I am free because I know exactly who I am. I am a woman. I am a software engineer. And I am a proud, unapologetic Muslim. For a second, the auditorium remained in that stunned, breathless silence. Then in the third row, a woman stood up and started clapping, then another and another. Within seconds, the silence shattered into a thunderous roar. 500 people, students, professors, parents of every background and belief, were on their feet. It was a standing ovation that shook the very foundation of the room. I looked back at the section where the mocking had started. The boys weren't laughing anymore. One of them was wiping his eyes. The mockery had been defeated not with anger, but with unshakable dignity and truth. As I walked off that stage, clutching my diploma, I didn't just feel like I had graduated from a university. I felt like I had graduated in the eyes of my Creator. I had stood my ground. To anyone watching this right now who has ever been made to feel small because of their faith, who has ever been mocked, misunderstood, or underestimated, do not hide. Do not shrink yourself to make others comfortable. Wear your identity like the crown it is, because when you stand firmly in your truth, even the harshest critics will eventually have to sit down and listen. If you are a proud Muslim, let your presence be known. Like this video, share this message, and let's see how many believers are standing strong today. Always remember, the path to light is never walked alone.